All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm going to discuss about the 17th century poetry, which is also known as Jacobean age, poetry in the Jacobean age, or the metaphysical poets. And after the Jacobean age, the Caroline age began. So let's get started. What happened uh, after the Elizabethan era? The Jacobean age started. And the Jacobean age, the duration or the time span of this age was 1603 to 1625. This age was more interested in the human mind than in the heart or eye. What does it mean? It means they gave importance to the mind and its functions and its activities. It was called the Jacobean age. Why? Because Jacobus, Jacobus, Jacobus is the Latin version of the name James. In English, there is a name, common name, James. And in Latin language, it's called Jacobus. So from the Latin name Jacobus, the name of the age became Jacobean age. So in Latin it means Jacobus, in English it means James. So who was James? Any idea? Anyone? All right, no problem. I'm telling you.
He
So
is James the First.
James the First, exactly. Naim is correct. James the First, he became the King of England in 1603. After the death of Queen Elizabeth. Elizabeth died in 1603. Then James the First, he came to the throne. That means he became the king. And at that time, Latin language was a common language. I mean, it was an international language at that time. You know, in the schools and colleges, even in the churches, Latin language was everywhere. As we have English language now, English language is the widely spread language, and it is considered as an international language now. Similarly, at that time, you know, during the Elizabethan age and the Jacobean age, Latin language was considered as an international language. So even in the schools and the colleges, the students, they had to learn Latin language. All right. During this age, that means during the Jacobean age, a group of poets, they began to write poems that were not so much beautiful, not so much musical, but I mean the style was tricky, the style was different, and I mean there were strange images. Okay, so you will very easily understand if I give you some examples. I will give you some examples after few seconds. Don't worry. So this age saw some, poets who were known as the metaphysical poets. Metaphysical poets. So this age is also called, some scholars, they call this Jacobean age also as the age of the metaphysical poets. So where does this term metaphysical poets come from? Actually, Samuel Johnson, he invented the term metaphysical poets, and he called those poets metaphysical poets. Why? If you just look at the word metaphysical, meta means after, and physical is connected with, physicality, physics. Meta means after or beyond. Physical means, you know, body, physicality. So metaphysical, that means beyond the body, beyond the body. So the poets, the metaphysical poets at that time, they actually emphasized, or they gave importance to the mind, not the body, but the mind. That's why they are called metaphysical. All right, beyond physical. Then, uh, in fact, the metaphysical poets, they they emphasized, or they gave importance to some questions which cannot be answered by science. In this world, we have so many questions, and the science cannot answer all these questions. For example, if anyone asks, is there ghost? In Bangla we call bhoot, bhoot, right? Jinn, bhoot. So if anyone asks, is there ghost? So it is a kind of metaphysical question. All right. And because you don't have the answer, you cannot prove it. Science cannot prove that there is ghost or not. So this type of question is called metaphysical or philosophical question. You know, if I ask you, did you have your breakfast? It is not a philosophical or metaphysical question. It is just a simple question. Did you have your breakfast? Yes or no, right? The answer, if true, yes. If no, you will say in the negative. That means no. But if I ask, is there ghost? Does ghost exist? Then it will be a metaphysical or philosophical question, because uh, I cannot prove it. You cannot prove it either. Science cannot prove it. All right. So the metaphysical poets, they, in their poetry, in their poems, they, you know, they used philosophical concepts, philosophical ideas as themes. Do you understand this much? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Good. So the next is, The metaphysical poets, they were, can you just name one or two metaphysical poets?
জন জন দান মনে হয়
John Donne,
Sir George Herbert, I think.
Herbert, then any ideas?
Oh, John Webster.
Anyone more?
আমরা তো জন পড়ছিলাম আর কারো মনে নেই
All right, good, no problem. I'm telling you.
Sir
The
Francis
matter
Bacon. Francis Bacon.
Francis Bacon was not a metaphysical poet. Actually, Bacon was an essayist.
Was
He
the
wrote
essayist here?
essays. Remember, Naim?
Yes,
You
sir.
studied him,
Yes, sir.
Bacon. Anyway,
Yes, sir.
the metaphysical poets were John Donne, George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, and Henry Vaughan. I repeat, John Donne, George Herbert, Andrew Marvell, and Henry Vaughan. Okay, these were the four major metaphysical poets. And who is the founder of metaphysical poetry? It's easy. Any idea?
Sir John Donne. John Donne.
দান
John Donne. John Donne is considered as the father of metaphysical poetry. And he wrote original poetry. His poems were intellectually filled up. The metaphysical poets, they used some strange concepts, conceits, concepts. In their poems, we find some strange concepts. Now, what is a concept? Concept is a metaphor. All right, in Bangla we call rupok. Okay, metaphor in Bangla we call it rupok. I will give an example now. If I write a poem and if I add a line there like you are a rose, R-O-S-E, you are a rose. All right, so here I have used a metaphor. What is the metaphor?
রোদ
Rose. I am calling the beloved, I am calling the girl a rose. So rose is the metaphor. In Bangla, we call it, rupok. So the strange metaphors that they used, I will discuss, after a few seconds. For example, if I compare, the beloved with a cow or with a watermelon, will it be common or strange? If a poet writes a line in a poem, for example, you are okay, can you add some strange words, strange metaphors?
Yes, sir.
Strange,
Yes,
unusual,
sir. For example,
uncommon.
yes, sir. For example, sir, John Donne in his valediction to forbidden morning in this poem, he actually compares his love with a compass, strict compass.
Good, very good. In John Donne's A Valediction Forbidding Morning, John Donne actually he used strange, uncommon metaphors. For example, he compared, the lovers, two lovers with a compass needle. You know compass, compass in mathematics, we need compass,
Yes, sir.
okay. So compass needles, a compass has two needles. So one needle is the lover, another needle is the beloved. So isn't it different, very strange, uncommon? So in this way, the metaphysical poets, they used metaphors and similes which are not common, very, very different. Okay, let me give you another strange example, or you can also think about one, any from your minds. Unusual, comparison. Anyone? For example, if I write a sentence in a poem like this, you are like a boat. You are like a boat. Boat in Bangla means nauka, right? So you are like a boat. So is it a common metaphor or strange? Normally we
Okay.
don't normally we don't use, right? Normally we use
Yeah.
metaphors like sun, moon, roses, flower, daisies. Do you
But
understand? River, water, I mean sky, stars, the common similes and metaphors. So the metaphysical poets, they used strange metaphors, strange similes. All right, and because of this strange use of unusual similes and metaphors, their poetry is difficult to understand. All right, so normal people sometimes face difficulty in understanding the metaphysical poetry. Okay, now do you understand this much? Clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, now I'm going to discuss the characteristics of 17th century poetry, or metaphysical poetry. So I told you earlier that metaphysical poetry began during the age of James the First, that means in Jacobean age. Characteristics of metaphysical poetry. So the metaphysical poets, they compared, you know, strange things like lovers, comparing lovers to a compass, or they compared the soul, soul in Bangla Atta, they compared soul to a drop of dew. In Bangla, we call it shishir, shishir. Uh, compass, then the soul to a drop of dew. If I say uh, his dew flew away, like this, something like this, that means his soul flew away. That means he died. So these strange comparisons were called conceits. Okay, were called conceits. Do you understand what I'm saying? If anyone asks you what is a conceit,
sir,
what will you say?
sir, don't understand.
If anyone asks you what is a conceit, you should say conceit is a strange metaphor, not a common metaphor, strange, uncommon metaphor. Okay, for example, if I compare the lovers to a compass, that means is it a common metaphor or strange metaphor?
Sir, repeat again.
If I compare the lovers to a compass, is it a
Uncommon.
is it
Strange.
a
Strange.
very strange metaphor, right? Okay,
Yeah.
if I compare the lovers to the sun and the moon, common or uncommon?
It's common.
Common metaphor.
Moon.
But if I compare the lovers to a compass, uncommon,
It's uncommon.
strange. So strange metaphors are called concepts. All right, concepts are strange metaphors. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. So then their poetry was highly intellectualized. Highly intellectualized means their poems were full of intellectual elements. What is intellectual? Intellectual means, you know, full of,
বুদ্ধিমত্তা স্যার
yes, full of intelligence, full of wisdom, you know, full of intelligence. The imagery in the poems, you know, in those metaphysical poems, the imagery, the similes, the metaphors were strange. Then I mean, these were so difficult to understand. Another characteristic, another feature of metaphysical poetry is that these poems were so difficult to understand. Why? Because of the use of, you know, strange and unusual similes, metaphors, etc. And the way they thought, I mean, the you know, the thought process of the poets was so complex, so complicated. If you read a metaphysical poem, you will learn how complex it is. The sentences are so, you know, complicated. The words, the use of the words, uh, I mean, they used so complex, difficult words. So that's why, you know, the poem became so difficult to understand. And in those poems, we also see the use of paradox. Now, what is a paradox? Any idea? What is a paradox?
No, sir. Don't
Okay,
know.
don't worry, I'm telling you. In metaphysical poems, we see the use of paradox. Now, paradox means it's a person or thing that has contradictory features or qualities. Okay, a person or thing that has contradictory features or qualities. That means one thing or a person that has two opposite sides. For example, if I tell wise fool, if I say wise fool, is there any contradiction here? Wise fool. Do you find any contradiction here?
Yes, sir.
I'm saying wise, and then I am also
And
saying
food.
fool. So wise is a
Food.
positive word and fool is a
Yeah.
negative
Negative
word.
word.
So if I say wise, then I am appreciating, right? If I say
Yes.
fool, then I am insulting. Wise fool. If I say you are a wise fool, that means opposite. Both good and bad is there. So
Is it a kind of
good and bad are there. Sorry.
so is it an example of oxymoron?
Oxymoron, it's similar to oxymoron, not completely similar to oxymoron. All right.
Yes.
So next, as I was saying, then if I say another example, truth truth is honey, which is bitter. Bitter means, teto, tikto. Truth is honey. I'm saying truth is honey. That means honey is good, right? Sweet. Truth is sweet, or truth is honey, which is bitter. Then I am saying opposite. You know, bitter means you don't like something bitter. You like something sweet. So I am saying truth is honey. That means truth is sweet. I'm also saying which is bitter. That means bitter is the opposite of sweet. I hope you understand. So this is another example.
Sir,
Yes. So
repeat again. Paradox.
paradox is just the use of opposite ideas. Opposite ideas. Okay. So
Okay.
if I say he is a wise fool, it's a paradox. I am using both goodness and badness here. I'm calling him wise. I'm also calling him fool. If I say you are a wise fool, I'm calling him wise. That means intelligent. I'm also calling him fool. Aren't these opposite? You know, aren't these opposites?
Opposite. Yes.
So this is called paradox. In metaphysical poetry, we see so many paradoxes. You know, opposites.
Okay. That means it's a person or theme that has
Contradictory qualities or features. Now, if I
Okay.
say
Thank
if I say wise fool, contradictory or no? Contradictory, right? Opposite. Okay. All right. So next feature is harshness or rigidity of expression. In metaphysical poetry, we see, the expression, the sentences, the feeling, they look harsh, rigid, not flexible. Okay. So the poetry of William Shakespeare was flexible, was easily understandable, but the metaphysical poetry was not so easy, not so flexible. Okay, it looked so rigid, so harsh, so complex. Another feature is metaphysical poetry focused on love, focused on love, but not on physical love, but on the union of the soul. What does it mean by the union of the soul? Any idea?
No,
That
sir.
is spiritual love.
Spiritual love. Okay, metaphysical poetry, they emphasized spiritual love. That means platonic love. They did not give importance to uh, physical love or physicality. The love of the souls was more important to them. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? In their poetry, they did not write about physical love.